You may have seen that viral video of NFL star Terrell Davis being removed from a plane in handcuffs for what he describes as lightly tapping a flight attendant after trying to get ice for his son. Well, Davis tells ABC the attendant then accused him of hitting him. Now, this incident that is now raising awareness for all travelers and what can happen during a flight. Not only can you be escorted off a flight at the discretion of the airline staff, but depending on the severity of the incident, it can come with a hefty $1,000 fine from the FAA. So joining me now is criminal trial attorney Sara Azari and her client Vahe, who says he was met by law enforcement after an incident with a crew member and ended up with him being fined thousands of dollars. Good morning to you both. Thank you so much for being here. Vahe, you say that you were on the plane, you were asleep, that a flight attendant hit you with a broken cart. You wake up in pain, and then you say that you then swung your arm back in a sort of state of shock, and then everything sort of changed for you. Walk me through that.
Good morning, by the way. I'm asleep on the airplane in an aisle seat, and I'm jolted out of my seat in excruciating pain from this cart being rammed into my knee. My knee was hanging out as I was asleep. In shock, I brush his elbow with my arm to get his attention, to say, "Hey, acknowledge what you just did," and he just walked away. He walked away, and I managed to go back to sleep. About 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later, I feel a nudge, I feel a shove on my shoulder, and I open my eyes, and here he is, right in my face, pointing at me, saying, "If you ever touch me again, you're going to have the police and the FBI escort you off of this plane." And I'm thinking, what? I'm thinking, you just rammed my leg instead of apologizing. And I tell him, "Hey, man," I say, "get the F out of my face. Instead of apologizing to me, you're threatening me." And he walks away. He walks away. Sure enough, another flight attendant approaches me before we land. And she tells me, "Sir, you're going to need to stay in your seat, and the police will be detaining you and escorting you off the airplane." At this point, I'm in complete shock. My heart sank into my stomach. I can't believe this is happening to me.
And then that's exactly what happened as you were escorted off. And Sara, your client was not criminally charged. We want to make that clear. But he's still facing a $29,000 fine now from the FAA. The FAA claims that your client seriously assaulted a crew member that left the person unable to work for an extended period of time. This issue is still playing out in the courts, but you dispute that. Why?
I dispute that, Gio, because this is not a he said case. It's a he said, and 7 other people say the same thing as Vahe, who were within an earshot and are eyewitnesses to this incident. And I have to tell you that the FAA is one of the most opaque agencies that I've ever worked against, governmental agencies. So while we have the flight attendant saying that he was struck or hit, we have no evidence that supports that, no corroboration, whereas we have corroboration to the opposite. And also, let's just set aside the legal stuff and look at common sense, right? You've got the FBI, after a 2.5-hour interrogation, reaching the conclusion that these are hollow accusations. And we're talking about a violent crime, criminal threats and an assault. And they let him go. They profusely apologize to him. And they're wondering how this flight attendant even has this job. Do you really think that the FBI would just let go of an assault if it really happened, or that the TSA would reinstate his security clearance? This is really unfortunate. It's happening to a lot of people. And unfortunately, we were facing a situation where the FAA wanted to gag us, didn't want us to talk about this, and they didn't even want us to know who this flight attendant is so we could vet the credibility of these accusations.
And Sara, what is your advice right now to travelers? Because other people might be looking at this and be worried about it.
Right. So listen, you get either peanuts or pretzels. That's your choice. But don't make contact with a flight attendant, unfortunately, don't make any physical contact, because no matter how innocuous it is, it could be exaggerated into something like this, and you could be the next Vahe. And in addition, I say this to people who are stopped by law enforcement in like a traffic stop. Take your phone out and document it, because again, there's no transparency with this agency. You had Mr. Davis, who had another passenger videotape part of the incident. In this case, we are lucky enough that we have witnesses, but you need documentation. Otherwise, you're going to be facing a 5-digit penalty with no corroboration.
All right, Sara Azari, thank you. And Vahe, real quickly, we have a few seconds left. What do you hope happens now?
I hope my name will be cleared. I would like a thorough investigation to be done on the incident, on the flight attendant. I'd like the flight attendant to be held accountable for their negligence, for humiliating me, for denigrating me.
By the way, if I may add, Vahe, like you, is a TV person. He's a union guy, you know. I mean, that just tells you that this is not a violent person. He's the guy that helps passengers put their bags up on the, you know, on the overhead. I mean, he's flown over 200 flights in his lifetime. So it's just insane to me, and I'm looking forward to seeing this litigation through.
All right, Sara Azari and Vahe, thank you so much. And we should tell you that we reached out to the FAA and the airline for this incident. They declined to comment beyond what's in the filing. And as for the Davis incident, United Airlines has apologized and says that they removed the flight attendant from duty, claiming it is not the travel experience they strive to provide. And our transportation team spoke with the Flight Attendant Association about incidents on board overall. They emphasized that the goal of flight attendants is to de-escalate issues before they arise, and that most flights take off and land without incident.